Sometimes we quote Bible passages without quite remembering where they come from. Today's reading from Year B in the lectionary cycle for the second Sunday of Advent is one of those. Remember, in all 3 years of the lectionary cycle, the Gospel reading for the second Sunday of Advent is the story of John the Baptist. And all 3 versions of the story, though they may differ slightly, all use a portion of today's Old Testament reading from Isaiah. But the snippet the Gospel writers quote is only a portion of the reading. And the portions the Gospel writers didn't use are just as important to us as the portions they did use. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas. It is widely accepted that the book of the prophet Isaiah is actually a collection of the sayings of at least 3 different prophets, all writing under the name Isaiah, a common practice at the time. Today's passage is widely believed to be the opening verses of the second of the prophets, writing in a time when the Israelites were in exile in Babylon. The whole tone and tenor of this section is so dramatically different from the first part of Isaiah as to be quite remarkable. Whereas the first portion of the book focuses on God's impending judgment against Israel, chapter 40 and following now addresses the people after judgment has been rendered in the form of their defeat and exile by the Babylonians. The section opens with these beautiful words. "Comfort, O comfort my people, says your God. Speak tenderly to Jerusalem and cry to her that she has served her term, that her penalty is paid, and that she has received from the Lord's hand double for all her sins." Clearly, written to people whose punishment has now come. Now the prophet's God-given task is not only to help people see the hand of God in their punishment, but also to develop a sense of hope for God's coming rescue. The next few verses include the section quoted in the Gospel readings from the second Sunday of Advent. Isaiah says, "A voice cries out, 'In the wilderness prepare the way of the Lord. Make straight in the desert a highway for our God. Every valley shall be lifted up, and every mountain and hill be made low. The uneven ground shall become level, and the rough places a plain. Then the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all people shall see it together, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken." Clearly, the Christian tradition has read John's role in the light of this oracle. Whether Isaiah saw a figure like John is debatable, but the Gospel writers and the whole Christian tradition interpret John the Baptist in light of this section, seeing him as the voice literally crying out in the wilderness and preparing the way for the coming of the Messiah. But the reading doesn't end there, and what comes next helps us frame the ministry of Jesus. Here's what Isaiah says next. "A voice says, 'Cry out.' And I said, 'What shall I cry?' All people are grass. Their constantly is like the flower of the field. The grass withers, the flower fades, when the breath of the Lord blows upon it. Surely the people are grass. The grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our God will stand forever. Get you up to a high mountain, O Zion, herald of good tidings. Lift up your voice with strength, O Jerusalem, herald of good tidings. Lift it up, do not fear. Say to the cities of Judah, here is your God. See, the Lord God comes with might, and his arm rules for him. His reward is with him, and his recompense before him. He will feed his flock like a shepherd. He will gather the lambs in his arms, and gently carry them in his bosom, and gently lead the mother sheep." These words were spoken originally to a people in exile who needed comfort. But they also help us frame who Jesus is, and they comfort us just as well. It interprets Jesus as the shepherd who gathers and feeds us. The Gospel writers used this portion related to the voice crying out in the wilderness, but they undoubtedly also had the rest of this passage in mind for it interprets for us the one whom John comes to prepare us, the same Jesus Christ who is the shepherd. Tomorrow, the writer of the letter, 2 Peter, asks us the probing question, what sorts of people should we be? But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.